Jin Woo incurs a penalty, but later finds out that he got new talent and abilities and enters a new game on his own. Plus, we have an anime recommendation at the end of this episode of Anime Breakdown. Yo, what's happening, everybody? It's your boy, Earth Mac, the mad scientist.
And Vivo.
This is the Orange Phoenix Show, Anime Breakdown. Each episode of Solo Leveling, episode 3. The way it started, it didn't start like episode 2 ended. You know, Jinwoo woke up out the bed like, yo, what the hell's going on? I'm alive. And you see the two guys in suits show
intact.
up. Right. Like, was this all real? Like, what happened? But you got the two suits show up and they analyze him and they ask him, yo, did you have a second awakening? I guess they missed that part in the first 2 episodes because they had us thinking, well, me primarily, that, okay, if this is your rank, this is your rank. There's nothing else. They didn't say anything about a second awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your thought on that, like the first few minutes of that show? Oh, episode 3.
Well, considering that I've already read that, read it, it followed I want to say it was, which chapters were, I'll look up the chapters. It followed the webtoon really pretty closely in terms of that. When it got to the part where they were like, oh yeah, you might have experienced a second awakening. Honestly, like when I got to that part in the webtoon, I was excited. I was like, oh, they're going to test his power. And it's going to be like out of control. And then they did. And it was like a level 10. And
it was some.
They were like, so it appears we were mistaken. And then they walked out the room and they were like, geez, at least like normal level E's have at least a power level of 70. Like, nah. It was like, congratulations, you're still trash. Like exactly that.
That's exactly what you said.
That the one guy from the Hunter Association is still suspicious.
Yeah,
because he's like, this doesn't make any sense. And so I know that I think that and I don't think this was really covered. I don't think they had a shot of this in the webtoon, but the fact that, you know, he was on the phone with the it wasn't Choi he was on the phone with. He was talking to the head of the Hunter Association, right? Yeah, and basically to mark it as a special case, but keep it open pending further investigation.
Yeah,
which makes sense. But I also thought it was funny when they left and Sung was like, maybe I should have. It's funny that they didn't mention anything about this giant screen that's just floating in the air. Yeah, and he was like, oh well, I guess they can't see it. Maybe I should have told them.
Nah, I don't know about that. Because it seems like the second awakening, you know, they actually kind of explained it. You know, the suits actually explained it, but they never said anything about seeing your own screen, having your own personal sub menu and all that other stuff. Right. And then they went back to explain that, okay, here's how we find you. Like the S rank people showed up, and you know, there were survivors. Junhei was one of the survivors, just an FYI, and the remains of the others. But there was no dungeon when we pulled up. It was just you know, unconscious, and everybody else completely fine. Junhei is like completely traumatized for what's going on naturally. And here you are, you know, you don't have no wounds. You're not missing a limb. None of that stuff. So, and then, you know, his sister like completely scolds him.
Yep.
And like, yo, yeah, like, why you keep doing this? I'm gonna quit school and I'm gonna go get a job.
And he's like, whoa, hold on. Like none of that now. Yeah, it was I don't know, like for him to have like this extra danger sense in the fact that he has like floating screens in the air.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I guess I'll deal with this later. I'm like, bro, you should have a little bit more like a sense of urgency to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
But he found out the hard way though.
Faithful. He's faithful. He fucked around and found out. That's what happened.
He was like, I'm injured and I'm in the hospital. They can't expect me to do anything. And then he went to sleep. And then I like how he was woke up out of his sleep in a desert with a giant centipede poison monster.
Yes.
And they
chasing
were like,
him.
You have to survive. Here's the clock, 4 hours. And he was like, what?
Can you imagine running for 4 hours in the sand?
But best believe that he wasn't going to skimp on doing his little One Punch Man workouts after.
No, he didn't skip on it that time. Like your penalty for not working out is you're gonna work out harder, but something's gonna chase you and gonna eat you if you stop.
Why?
Basically. And I was actually impressed that he was able to survive the 4 hours just running in a desert environment with multiples of those things chasing him for 4 hours straight.
4 hours straight, man, running in the sand.
And it was a photo finish too. Like it was about to take him out. Like he was about to get crushed. About to.
When he stopped Gina, he was like, listen, don't quit school. I'm gonna continue to risk my life. I almost died again by getting penalized, but he did, like you said, he did the One Punch Man, montage, and then like, okay, I'm gonna upgrade my stats, I'm gonna upgrade my strength naturally. I feel like if you was an E-rank person, that'd be the first thing you go for is your strength because you're not strong enough. So naturally, that's what he did. He upgraded his strength. Then he gets an award.
I like how the stat, because it really is like he's in a video game and like you're basically modding your character. I mean, it's basically like any like Dungeons and Dragons or where you're assigned like different skill points and you can play around with how you distribute those skill points. Yeah. And it's really interesting too to think about it because I think how many attributes did he have? I forgot off the top of my head, but like there was like 6 or 7, maybe 8. Like he could definitely, depending upon what he wanted to do, like he could create whatever build that he wants. Like, so right now he's relying more on his strength, but I think there was also agility, there was like intelligence, there was health or stamina, like depending upon how he distributes all of the points. But in his case, yes, I think that, distributing most of his points on strength when, I mean, historically, he's technically the weakest hunter there is. It makes sense in his case because he has to catch up with everybody else in order to even be competitive.
Yeah, and looking at this reawakening that he has, or second awakening, this is something unlike any other hunter, like at all. They do not have their own personal menu. He's the only one that can see that.
I don't know that I would call it. I don't know that we can actually say that it's his second awakening for him.
Do you know something we don't know?
I don't yet, but I wouldn't say that. Okay, so think of it. When the guys came to test him to see if he had a second awakening, they brought that mana meter. Right. So that leads me to believe that if you have a second awakening, then that would cause your mana stores to increase dramatically. So there would be a difference between what you were when you first awakened and when you when you awakened the second time. In his case, there was no change. So I think that what he's going through is something different.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, later down the line, he might actually have a second awakening, but we don't know that yet. But I don't think what he's experiencing right now is actually a second awakening.
So do you think that what he got going on is better than a second awakening? Like he has limitless potential as far as his training. I mean, because the training that he has right now is light. You know, if you could consider that light, you know, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, you got to do some runs, all that other stuff. You got to accomplish this by a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, you get penalized, which you work out again and everything else in between. So would you consider that better than a second awakening? Just an immediate power boost? Because it seems like he got limitless potential with this sub menu that he has.
I would probably agree also, because it seems that well, I can't say that now. We have to wait till the next episode, so I can't say that. I do think that, I mean, for all we know, this could be setting him up for something even greater. Like, think of it. I mean, this is basically training to condition his body.
Yeah.
And so so when they tested him the first time, this was before he did any of that extra training.
Yeah.
So I would be interested to see if they were to test him again after he distributed whatever skill points he gains, if that makes a difference. If it doesn't make a difference, then I would say that's not a second awakening. This is something completely different. And maybe it's setting him up to be in a place, have a better physicality to handle a true second awakening, potentially, maybe.
Yeah, I have noticed a difference though in this episode, because when he finally accepts this new mission, that he goes into this portal. The other thing that was kind of puzzling to me was, well, not really puzzling, but surprising, that when these portals open, like normal people just like, oh, all right, another portal open. Just open in traffic. I do not like that. You know, that kind of thing. It's like, you know, magical beasts is inside these portals, right?
Right.
But we already know the rule. They can't come out. They have a certain time limit that hunters got to handle business.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, whatever, portal. I'm gonna go ahead and go to work. So with the backup, we finally find out about Jinwoo's mom and how she passed out like 4 years prior, and she has eternal sleep disease.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically because of magical items. Now that part kind of confused me. Is it saying because of the magical items that's there that cause this eternal sleep? Because
I don't think it's magical items. I think it's mana in general.
Okay.
So I think they said that it affected like 1 out of however many people, which leads me to believe that there are some people in the world that just have a what's the word I'm looking for? A very serious sensitivity to this new mana or this new energy that's now flooding the world, and that's why they're susceptible to this particular affliction.
Hey guys, I know you are enjoying our show, but just a quick second, I want you guys to subscribe to our Patreon and continue to support us, because the more support we have, the more cool things we can do. Now, we have 2 different tiers. We have a $5 tier and a $15 tier. The $5 tier guarantees you a bi-monthly edition of Orange Phoenix magazine, where we cover all things of geekdom, whether it's anime, manga, pro wrestling, comics, cosplay, you name it, we nerd it. That is our slogan. Now, you might be asking yourself, what about the other months? Well, monthly, you get entered into a giveaway drawing. So if your name gets pulled in the drawing, you get some of the cool stuff that we buy from these conventions from the past, the present, and in the future. We talking figurines, we talking Blu-ray DVD sets that's typically not aired on any streaming service. We talking various forms of artwork, because we know when you go in that deal's room and you go in that artist alley, you want to buy so much things and you got a budget. But say you might not be able to get the things that's outside of your budget. We may have those things. So you get entered into those drawings and you have a chance to win those cool things. Now, the $15 tier, you are guaranteed the bi-monthly edition of Orange Phoenix Magazine. You are automatically entered into the giveaway drawing. Plus, you get early access to all of our videos before it gets aired on YouTube. You got it? All of our videos air before YouTube. Tendency to be 24 to 48 hours before, and also any private videos be sent straight to you guys. So we're talking both videos early access and videos that is never going to air on YouTube. You will have access to that as well as all of our past editions of Orange Phoenix Magazine. That is the $15 tier. So please continue to support us as we continue to grow. And without any further ado, let's get back to our regular scheduled program.
Because if like you look at in his flashback, she's healthy. She looks healthy, but like you look at her now and she looks like she's aged 20 years.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it's been that long of a how long had it been since gates started opening up? It wasn't more than like 10 years. It was
it wasn't
like maybe a couple of years, maybe.
Yeah, it was enough for people to adjust and have a normal life outside of that. It's kind of, oh crap, portal. All right, we need hunters. Quit messing up my traffic. that kind of thing. So when he goes into this dungeon, he comes across 3 goblins. Here's where I learned the difference, because in the beginning he couldn't beat one goblin. Like he tried to stab a goblin, the knife breaks, but you notice he got a little bit of agility in him. He got a little bit more strength. He was able to take out those goblins, and then you get another creature, and that's where the show ends. It's kind of like, God dang it.
And that actually differs from the webtoon. Like when he enters that instance dungeon, I think it's an instance dungeon.
Yeah.
He doesn't face goblins. It's just that wolf. Like he walks in and it's like, yo, like.
Oh, it's just the lichen, and that's it. It's not even the. Oh wow. Okay. Well, that is a difference though. Now,
also,
for the listeners out there,
look a lot cooler in the webtoon, like.
Mm-hmm.
Like he goes in like in all his black outfit and stuff, and he's like, yeah. Well, he's not like that. He's still kind of like, man, now I'm trapped. I guess I'm gonna have to figure out how to finish this off I have to clear this by myself.
Yeah.
And so he still has like the kind of same attitude, but he has kind of a different look about him.
Yeah.
But it gets interesting. So
I see the interest. I mean, he already had an escape plan, not knowing this is unlike anything that you have ever dealt with.
Yep.
Like you're dealing with your own personal game at this point, and there's no escape for you. But at the same time, you see the difference between strength. Like episode 1 and episode 3, there's a little bit of difference because he upgraded. Right. Then you get this lichen. Lichen is getting the best of him, but it hits you with that little cliffhanger once again. As a critique, I feel like it could have picked a better spot where it could end at, but I get what they're doing. I think they got this whole this big picture and they cutting it up into pieces. And
I mean, it's basically like you said the last review that we did. It's very next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I really did like this episode. It's not one of my favorite episodes because obviously it had to grab your attention like the first 2 episodes. It had to be like shock and awe, which that's exactly what it was. It took a hard left, and now it's kind of like it's slowing down to build it back up again to a point where okay, this is getting exciting. So I do like the pacing of it. Again, it's not one of my favorite episodes, but I understand why it's not. Because we went from point A to point B, and that's just great storytelling at that point. So, what you thought about this episode?
I liked it. I would agree with you that it's probably on the lower. It's going kind of like that. because there's going to be another build up. And I do appreciate the pacing, because it's really allowing the readers and or viewers to like build familiarity with our main protagonist. And it's like you're literally building from the bottom to the top. So
yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yep. And for the listeners out there, on the ticker at the bottom, it tells you how to go read Solo Leveling. It is on the web novel app. At one point, it was on Webtoon, but since then it's moved. So if you go on the web novel app, you could actually read Solo Leveling. And
it's
also
on TappyToon. That is another area where I'm reading it at.
And TappyToon. And it's also on TappyToon. And also, obviously, whenever we do anime breakdowns, we got an anime recommendation. So our anime recommendation for this episode is Metallic Rouge. Now, to give you a little bit of a synopsis of it, in a world where humans coexist with androids called Neons, a group known as the Immortal Nine rises up against society, tasked with disposing of the revolters. And Neon named Rouge Red Star, aka Metal Rouge, is an investigator. Naomi Arthmain head to Mars to track them down. But first, Rouge wants some chocolate. So the animation is gorgeous in this anime. It is one season, it is 2 episodes so far. It is one of the winter anime lineup, and that's one of the anime we definitely going to be covering soon, once we finish with Solo Leveling and Ishura. So until next time, y'all, till episode 4 of Solo Leveling, peace.
Bye.